Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm John. What just happened? We just fucked it up.
I'm John coming in from Europe on a delayed line.
Oh wow! I heard y'all delayed? That's funny.
Oh wow! Okay, yep.
Keep going.
That was
we're just doing it again. No, we're back. We're here. I'm John. Welcome back, film fans, to the love of cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. Basically, we try to avoid lazy negativity by making this a little bit of a drinking game. So anytime we say anything negative about a film, or probably today, more likely each other, you're going to hear this sound. That sound means we need to take a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
So pour yourselves a glass as we do our obligatory shot to start this off.
Pre-show shot. Here we go.
Ow!
Dave, whatever you're drinking is very dark in color. John and I have some whiskey, and yours is like sherry colored or something.
No, that was whiskey.
All right, people, we're talking about Breaking today. Breaking. This is a really, really intense movie that stars John Boyega, and I believe, can you guys confirm, this is Michael K. Williams' final film?
Final film.
I hope.
I don't think I read that anywhere. Is that what he's saying? Because there was nothing else there was nothing else filmed at all. This was literally the last thing.
That's what I'm asking. I'm not sure if there was anything else on his list. But R.I.P.
Let's clarify that. Yeah, let's clarify that. He's passed on. So that's what we're asking. If there was maybe anything else that he had been filming before this.
We're kind of hoping that he did a Bruce Willis, and there's like 10 of them coming.
Some other things on the IMDb. So perhaps I spoke a little too soon. One looks like a TV series that is completed, and one it just says surrounded. That's what we get for doing our
right now going, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck.
That is what we get for doing our research. That's on me, people. Okay, so this is... I deserve that. All right, we're back here. So this is Breaking. We're going to talk about that in 1 second. Just give us a second here because we have to get through our usual openers. So can you shout our sponsors really quickly, please?
I wish I knew what you just said, but your Zoom just dropped out. Are you uploading something right now?
No.
Yeah, we're having a great technical time.
While we're recording or something?
No,
what's going on over
I was Googling Michael K. Williams because I was saying things about him without researching it that I easily could have spent 20 seconds on.
You know on your 1986 computer you can't Google stuff and record at the same time.
All right, well, you're going to use my audio here, and everybody's going to have heard it and been like, what are they talking about, all right? Guys, can we get the fuck on with this episode, all right? Jesus Christ. We're talking about a very intense, awesome, incredible movie, at my point. Whatever. Okay, John, who are our sponsors?
Our sponsors are Carlos Barroso. You can find him on Instagram, cbarroso.beer. Check the show notes. And the music of this episode and every episode is provided by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein, available on all music platforms. Follow those show notes.
Dasein wants you to listen to his music, people. He's been posting every day. He's got some new music, man. Go listen to his new music.
Yeah. He even went to our YouTube. You guys didn't.
I go to it. You're probably right, but go fuck yourself. We got to get our buzzes in. All right, we're going to be talking about Breaking. One more second, though, because it is time. This is a drinking podcast. And again, I don't know how much buzzing we're going to be doing today. So we are going to do our gripes of the week. So we have 1 minute each if we want it. We don't necessarily have to use the gripes of the week. An opportunity to get us kind of heated up a little bit, get us drinking, get some things off our chest now. So that way, when it comes to breaking time, we just talk about the film itself. Does anybody besides me have a gripe that they want to get off their chest?
I do not. I had a great week.
What? I mean, okay. John?
Not a gripe, but I think all three of us were texting today, and we're pretty entertained by Spitgate.
Spitgate, yeah. I can't wait for like someone to like get the footage and put it on a chalkboard and like composite it into the JFK movie. There, where there was like a second spitter or something. Yes.
Yeah. No, there has to be.
Rip off the Seinfeld gag.
Pretty ridiculous. That whole Mr. Styles is just saying and doing
so funny
really silly things.
Well, I mean, it started with Chris Pine just sitting there looking at like he would just wanted to be in Delaware or something.
He looks so small.
And hi to Delaware. And
Fuck Delaware, man. They always have so much traffic whenever I try to drive through that. Fuck Delaware. Thank you for the Bidens, but man.
And then this clip came out of Harry Styles leaning over, and it looks like he spits in his lap as he's walking into the theater because he turned up like late, and it like Chris Pine's reaction really looks like he did it, but like all these people, like Twitter's gone fucking nuts analyzing this thing, and his reps are coming out like they're like, no, he didn't spit on him. Just settle the fuck down. I'm wondering, is it these two having a fucking laugh? Like, did they go, look, they're focusing on everything we do. Let's just make it look like something happened and get all this fucking publicity for free. I'm wondering, is it a setup? Have we been had?
And if some pretty good acting from Chris Pine.
If we have, fucking hats off to them.
It's good and unbroken or whatever.
No, I think I like Chris Pine. I'm just saying that was a believable moment. If he really did just totally fake that,
and
I bought it.
Harry Styles,
Olivia Wilde seemed totally lost to it too. So you could be right. Like I know she wasn't looking in that direction, but it seems from the videos. Guys, we're spending
too much time on spit.
Yeah. Buzz to all of us. Get out of here. All right, we got to keep it moving. Okay, let me do my gripe really quick. It's just so simple. Go ahead. Can you please start the gripe timer?
Your time starts now.
This is so simple, and I'm not the first person to complain about this, but I was watching on fucking Hulu. I have all the ads. Fine, it happens. And it's usually like male enhancement stuff because I'm watching like Only Murders in the Building, and it's like, okay, whatever. But then they have Nurtec OTC, which is for migraines, if you didn't know that. And I shit you not, you have to have, we live in, guys, they just bragged about the infrastructure deal, getting 10 million new people connected to Wi-Fi. COVID, everybody's connected to fucking the internet and Wi-Fi.
That's 10 million new people getting pop-ups.
But why do we need to have all of the side effects listed still for these pharmaceutical drugs? So Nurtec OTC, I shit you not, said, do not take if you are allergic to Nurtec. I'm going to say this again. Nurtec OTC said, do not take if you are allergic to Nurtec.
Well, fuck. There's only one way to find out.
This would be like. I mean, if Wendy said don't eat the burgers if you're allergic to beef. Okay, no. This would be like if Outback Steakhouse said do not eat here if you're allergic to Outback Steakhouse. No fuck. Of course.
You've gone over.
And don't eat at Outback Steakhouse. First of all, just don't go. But nerds.
I mean, my favorite is when the side effect is death. It's like that's a pretty fucking final side effect.
If you eat food and you die from the food, it's
all fucking liability warnings, right? My favorite liability warning I've ever seen is on chainsaws. They have that warning that says, "Do not place genitals near the moving blades."
That means it happened, right?
There are some signs in the world you just need an explanation for. I want to know why that's there.
You know how to start a chainsaw, right? You know where people are. Somebody needed to get some extra leverage and put that thing right between their legs.
What's he run starting it?
Oh my god!
Anything else? Nice. Anything else you guys want to bring up before we get into our film of the week?
No, let's get into it.
Sounded like a frustrating race on Sunday, but anybody who follows F1,
Formula One,
and is a Hamilton fan might also be a little frustrated. But we've talked. Let's keep going.
Okay. Text us if you not text us. Don't fucking text us. DM
Jeff
us.
has a fantasy draft to get to.
I have a fantasy football draft to get to. It's very serious.
Happening.
Okay, people, it is time to talk about Breaking, the new film starring John Boyega. It also stars Michael Kenneth Williams, who you might know from The Wire and others. And he has passed away recently in 2021, so R.I.P. This also starts Nicole Beharie and Selenis Leyva. They look so familiar, but I can't place them. But then Connie Britton is probably the other recognizable face that you might know. Mrs. Coach, Mrs. T. This is directed by Abi Damaris Corbin, who is a fairly new director to feature films. A lot of shorts. One film that I'd never heard of, really, to be honest with you, that is called Actors Anonymous from 2017. The Suitcase is a short. And then this is written by the director, Abi Damaris Corbin, and Kwame Kwei-Armah. I didn't see. They don't even have an IMDb picture. This writer used to be an actor, now has gotten into writing. So anyway, long story short, the creative team is not that prolific yet, but we have some I dare say A-list actors involved in this film, and it's gotten a little bit of buzz.
And we have some thoughts about whether or not they should be prolific.
Well, we will definitely discuss that. So let's do the IMDb description for Breaking, and then we'll go around the horn with our initial takes, what we thought, what we felt. We're going to try to keep it spoiler free for 10 minutes. We're already at the 10-minute mark, but maybe for 10 minutes. Okay. A Marine War veteran, that's John Boyega's character, faces mental and emotional challenges when he tries to reintegrate back into civilian life.
That is not what this movie's about at all. Not at all.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit of marketing.
Whoever wrote that didn't see the fucking movie.
I don't know if you call it a heist. Yeah, I don't know if it's a heist film, but it is a bank robbery movie. That's what the movie is. So let's go around the horn and talk about.
Did they have to find an abandoned bank like we did?
Like us, our bank, yeah, but did theirs have asbestos?
Yeah. Hey, I laid in that.
John didn't have to pay any money as long as we signed a waiver saying we won't sue them.
I wish. No, I paid for us to get sick.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go first?
Dave, you saw it together. Do you want to kick it off? Or you want to wait and sandwich you two together, and I'll go first?
Much as that sounds appealing, no, I'll go first. It's fine. I had no idea going in what this is about.
Same.
I actually made all the graphics for like this week's show for
I'm so glad we
Honk,
didn't see
Honk
that
for Jesus or whatever it was. Because I skipped one bit in the message thread we have, because we have this message thread where we like type messages to each other about the show, and then there's all these fucking jokes in the middle as well, and you look at the jokes because they're funny, and then you miss this one little paragraph where John going, "Hey, let's do Breaking," and you book the
you
tickets.
guys go, "No, let's do Honk for Jesus." I was like, no, I don't. I didn't
Jeff
mean to do that.
suggested it as a joke, and
I'm sure it's a fine film. It's a comedy. There's not much for us to say about it.
Yeah,
so, anyway.
Comedies definitely don't lend themselves to a 45-minute podcast. 45 minutes, I say generously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even booked tickets because me and Jeff went and saw this together, like I said.
And I didn't check until the morning
and I'm like, fuck. And then I canceled that and got the right tickets. And I walked in completely
Entourage.
having not seen a thing about this. I hadn't looked at anything beforehand. I went in completely blind. Holy fuck, man. From the opening, it sets you in, like, you get to know him a little bit. You get to know how he feels. You get your little save the cat moment at the beginning that endears you to him, and then it just goes off, and it's like non-stop fucking compelling from there to the end. I can't tell you if it's Boyega, the direction, the supporting cast, all of that put together, the writing. I don't know, but I was just riveted to the fucking screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's my subtle opinion.
Oh my god!
Wow. Well, that makes me really happy. And I want to hear your thoughts more as we start to dissect it, because this movie is an important film. And I saw this trailer.
This made me furious as well. Sorry. Yeah. That was the other thing. And it was meant to. But I walked out mad. I'm like, what the fuck can I do?
Yeah.
It's not often a film grabs me like this.
I saw this trailer a few times before some of our movies that we've seen, over the past couple of months. So I don't know if you guys just missed the trailers, but I do feel like this got enough, at least out here, it got enough of a wide net before some bigger movies that I was pretty shocked that there were four people total four other than me. So 5 people total in my theater when I saw it. And, I'd been looking around at showtimes and pretty much empty theaters across the board. So it's kind of disappointing that it's not really getting seen very much.
I think ours was half veterans.
Yeah.
It looked like it might be, yeah.
However, I will say this. I didn't feel that way about it, Dave. I felt like there were a lot of really strong moments, but that ultimately most of the film, the pace didn't grab me. The pace was getting in the way of, being, and you guys know how I feel about
I'm very
being
surprised.
able to take your time. Yeah, being able to take your time and do things. And you can't help but think about other famous dramatic or action-driven, either one. I know this is more on the dramatic side of like bank heisty kind of movies. And I mean this in the most constructive way possible. I don't mean to belittle the term entertaining. This just wasn't very entertaining to me. I feel like there were a lot of moments where they were so edited with such intensity and like dramatic pause that it kind of felt that way the whole time. So, and they had a very similar cinematic language where they were using very slow push-ins, which of course we love doing those. Everybody loves the moments when you get to do that.
The slow pushing with the swell.
Yeah, they did it so often on moments where I felt like that could have just been an information moment. Like we're all totally on board with. They did a great job establishing his emotional circumstances and his physical circumstances. One of my favorite moments in the whole film, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the rest of it, but his decision to go into the bank when he pulls that cigarette out and just takes a moment, I was like, fuck, this is going to be great. And it just slowed down so dramatically after that. I'm not even sure what I would have done constructively. It almost kind of felt like this story, because they were trying to stay so true to it, which I respect, didn't end up lending itself to the full traditional arc that we see with these types of movies, where something happens with either get falsely promised what they want and they get taken to the tarmac with a helicopter, or they think they're going to get out and they escape somewhere. So this story doesn't naturally draw itself that way. So part of me thinks that this just has some limitations in its initial subject matter. And I would imagine as creators, they were saying to themselves, well, God damn it, we don't want to write a fucking false ending or try to squeeze this and pull it into like the third act when it really doesn't deserve to go there. The performances, for the most part, I think were incredibly strong. I think they would have been strengthened by giving me a little bit more selective moments to really go for that intensity. But fucking John Boyega, he must have been exhausted at the end of every day. Yeah. He was giving it his all. And there were a few of those close-up things I was talking about, because they gave him like 15, where he was on the phone all the time in a close-up, or he was being looked at by the women in a close-up. And there were
this was literally a Boyega film.
Yeah. So I don't want to sound I guess I was just kind of surprised with what they were working with. It is so inherently dramatic that I think if I had been their friend and they had let me see an early cut, I think I would have said, your work is done. We're already totally on board. You don't need to make it feel dramatic. So maybe tighten up some of your cuts when you don't need to give us anything other than information, so that we can really let those other intense monologues and a couple dialogue moments, because there's not a lot of people in this movie, really sing. The ending kind of caught me off guard, which I think we all weren't shocked that it was going to go that way. We'll discuss that. Yeah. So it wrapped up kind of quick, and I think it just took a really long time to get into past the midpoint where Michael K. Williams and the bulk of the negotiations, where you kind of think this movie is going to head, gets to. So I don't know. It just took a little bit longer to get there for me. So ultimately, I feel like I was left wanting something a little bit different. But I still think it's an important film, and people should go support shit like this. We can't be having these fucking conversations about getting new voices into the cinema, and you're not paying money to see movies like these. Get your ass into the cinema and go see this shit. Mm-hmm. This is how we're going to change stuff.
Yeah. The streamers are not going to save this. Like, you need to go to the movies and see this.
Yeah.
So I agree more with Dave on this for sure. But hold on, John. Apparently I'm still logged into your IMDb on my phone, because John used to have IMDb Pro and I didn't feel like paying for it yet. So I just used his to see people's agents or whatever. And you gave this a score. You rated this movie.
Yeah.
I
try to rate most of the movies we talk about. Yeah.
Dude, that's like 2 weeks in a row you violated his privacy.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say it. We'll drag it out for our listeners. You know, in fact, maybe I won't say it. You guys have to. I will tell you what John's score is of this movie if you reach out to us on the socials, so I can know whether or not you are actively or passively listening to this.
You can say it. I don't think they'd be surprised.
No. This is a hook, man.
I need them to reach out. This is our hook. We got to get some engagements going here. But yeah, so anyway, I really just wanted to look up to see if John Boyega was a producer, and he does have an executive producer credit on this film. Unsurprising to.
Well, he definitely put his money where his mouth was. In this one,
yeah, I'm with Dave though. I mean, I know what you're saying, John. I completely validate it all, and I did wonder about that a little bit. And I think that the subject matter carried enough, where I don't think they needed to do any of those usual hooks that might have gotten me more. I was totally on board with the pacing of it from the jump, from the phone call with the daughter, and I was actually more like Dave in the fact that I didn't really know anything about this. I was just so happy you said a movie that wasn't Honk for Jesus. Again, no disrespect to Honk for Jesus. It could.
It's probably best for the world that the three of us didn't review a movie about the black preacher and his wife and their schemes for power and stuff. It's probably good we didn't talk about it.
I don't know. It's an R-rated comedy. We might have bonded with it.
and it's somewhere at the border of satire and farce, where satire turns into farce. And if it wasn't good, I'm glad we saw this movie.
Me too.
So again, I went in with nothing. I went in with nothing, and so the phone call with his daughter at the beginning, and he's walking, and he's in like a homeless camp, or is it? And I was just I didn't know what was going on, but I was I love the simplicity of it. For some reason, it reminded me of Fruitvale Station, not just because the leading character, shares similar characteristics, but something about like the walking and moving with the camera at the beginning. And I also went into that small budget film. I imagine they have the same budget. I don't know what this one is or what it's listed at, but right now the gross is 2.2 million. So if you include marketing, that's bad. And so this movie, I haven't seen any of those previews, John, which means that they're early, because I even showed up 8 minutes late to this one, and I still felt like I was watching 20 minutes of previews.
This kind of had an indie feel to it, so I don't think they had as much marketing coverage on this one.
Was it John, at the movies, was it the first trailer, second trailer? Was it early? Because I really think that you pay more to be right in front of the film.
I feel like it usually wasn't the first, but it was definitely in front of probably the more independent. I know I saw it before. Yeah. What was the one that I didn't like?
Vengeance.
Yeah, I know it was before that, and maybe the one before that week. I remember I saw it at least twice in front of our movies.
All right, so back to the film. Yeah, the pacing totally worked for me, and I'm with you though that the best part of the film was the 5 minutes before, and then basically into the 5 minutes of the bank robbery when it happens. I didn't know this is a bank robbery, but if you're listening to the podcast and you want to hear more about it, then that is what happens. And we won't tell you the end of the film, of course.
No.
But
till later.
I love the way it happened. I was a little worried that it would take some air out of the tank to watch him let all of the people go. Like, he let a lot, not all of them, obviously, because he needed to have the two ladies stay. Again, not to spoil too much, so that you can't hold up a bank and not have any hostages, otherwise you're dead. So he let a lot of people go, and so it made him likable, So I knew it was already different from Dog Day Afternoon, which Dog Day Afternoon is great, but like it's just different than this because he's reeling in a different way. And this, he has a plan that sucks. He knows it's a shitty plan, but he also knows it's going to work. And
I mean, Dog Day Afternoon is also more. It relies a little bit on comedy and the fact that these guys should not have succeeded in any way, shape, or fashion the way they did.
It's a black comedy. When he takes the gun out of that like flower box and he's like kicking it around, you like, okay.
If anyone on YouTube's wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to find the budget for this thing on IMDb Pro, but I can't find
I can't find it.
Yeah.
It's a small number.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why they gave John Boyega that producer credit.
It had 3 locations.
And you get all the back end on this. And I didn't see small acts,
locations.
So I wish. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, I did like it, and it's important. And what our conversation is going to end up being kind of a mix, I guess, thanks to John not particularly loving it as much as Dave and I, because we were worried about like the politics talking about it, because obviously, he's a veteran. And the VA isn't paying him as much, but really just the fact that veterans struggle is like this mind-blowing, crazy thing.
To be honest, I've rethought that, and I don't think it's politics anymore, because no one seems to have got this right.
It's also us, I feel like we never blame ourselves for this, but I hear the VA in conversation all the time. From both sides, they're all blaming each other, and we know who actually wants to fund it and who doesn't.
They do a fucking budget every year. Just buy 5 less tanks and fund these motherfuckers.
Can you, okay, we'll get too political, but they pass $800 billion a year budget, but they can't put a couple of those billion towards our veterans? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we'll get back to that in a minute.
1%, $8 billion, 1% of the military budget, I'm sure would take care of all of our veterans. Yeah. I'm sure.
Considering you spend 53% of the total budget on military stuff.
So many people homeless, so many people addicted, and the medical insurance
YouTube's going to come after me for that one.
There was a... Before we go away from that too much, there was a really powerful moment. I don't remember exactly when it happened, but when it does finally show you when he's in his actual he's in his actual meeting at the VA, and it kind of gives you the pretext for what happened. When she basically says, "I'm sorry, we can't give you the money," they go back and forth, and he says, "You're going to make me homeless. You realize that? I'm going to be homeless."
Yeah.
And she says, "We have some information on that," and she hands them this really depressing pamphlet called Homelessness and You, which was really sad. But then when he walks out, she says, "You can either wait, use this. Here's a number. You can call that, or you can go wait in the line outside, and someone will be with you eventually." When he walked outside, this was really good movie language. Like, she referenced it. The stakes are already really high. We're sitting there. We have a relationship. I got to know just enough about the woman behind the desk to realize she's a human too. She didn't want to do this.
Oh my
but
God,
she
the
was
look
in a
on
bad
her
position.
face.
Really
Like,
bad.
She
But
sold that.
when he walks outside and he sees the line, and good extras casting. Everybody looked different. It was everyone, every color under the rainbow, every height, shape, size, different kind of human beings. All these people.
I would hope they tried to cast some real veterans, and because they pay, you know, what I
Yeah.
mean, they pay.
Yeah.
So
too.
anyway,
But that moment really touched me. And for a moment, I thought, "Holy shit! Is this movie going to end up being about very specifically about houselessness for veterans?" Because we've seen that tale told so many times. We all grew up in the echoes of Vietnam. A generation or so later, and seeing tons of people on the street with veteran signs and older men with missing limbs. And I fought in Nam, their jackets and everything. Well, now we're seeing tons and tons and tons of vets from, 17 years of war in the Middle East and Vietnam, if they're still alive, and the early wars in the 90s in Bosnia. And it's a whole institution now. It's not, it's almost harder to pin it because it's not just, I was in Nam, man, like that one thing. Now it's just this industrial complex has turned. So there was a moment where I thought it was going to turn into that. And just the way that they held back, the camera crosses in front of him and shows you what that line looks like. And then it just cuts to him and they cut away from it. And I thought it was really powerful because we already knew that he was going to break down in there at some point.
Yeah, it literally
screams. We got to finish it for ourselves.
We never got this right.
Also, it's cool the way I love the subtlety in this. So maybe the subtlety wasn't sexy for some people that wanted a little bit more grit, but the way they cut back to the bank, and the bank's so much nicer than the VA office. Like I would way rather wait in the Wells Fargo. Was it Wells Fargo? I would way rather wait in the Wells Fargo than in the fucking VA. And also just seeing, I've been to the DMV in Central New Jersey.
There were less people
and I've been
in
to
the Wells
DMV
Fargo
in Harlem, and I bet you can guess which DMV was nicer. Harlem or Central New Jersey, and. But the fact that the VA looks like, the low end on the totem pole in your, socioeconomic, like the fact that it is, competing with places that are underfunded and underdeveloped. It's sad. But I love the subtlety of that. I love the subtlety of Connie Britton's interview where they put her on camera, and I'm like, okay, this is it, because you know deep down that you can't rob a bank and you can't threaten people's lives and then get away with it. Obviously, you're still kind of rooting for him, but you know that he can't just walk home from this. And so I'm kind of torn with that. So to see the interview with Connie Britton get filmed, and I thought Connie Britton handled it very well with subtlety. She's not trying to, step in and have her moment. Like, she definitely is just like, I want to do my job here and I want to help this movie and then go home. And then basically he's like, why isn't this on the TV? Come on, why? That's what he wants. And I'm not spoiling too much, but he's like, come on, people need to hear these stories. I'm not the only one. Like, I want, basically, like, he wants to be a sort of a renegade. And then when she says the thing, like, you threatened us with a bomb. If we put that on TV and you blow the bank up, think about your kids that are seeing this bank blow up on TV. And then you realize, you know what I mean? I think that's enough. That was enough for me to take to sit back a little bit. And yes, it deflated me a little bit, but it kept me hooked in a different way as opposed to a traditional heist film. And I appreciated that for this.
Should we turn on spoilers? We're about 10 minutes
fucking
in.
close.
Yeah, you were walking the fucking spoiler line.
Yeah.
All right, spoilers are on. Spoilers.
Okay.
I think there were so many moments like that, Jeff, where, and it sounds like y'all had similar moments. You just kind of noticed it and moved on in a positive way, where there were times where they would make a choice when you might have some expectations of what this kind of movie would do at that point in the movie. And typically with drama, and we hike it up, like a big decision moment happens, some new information comes in and it makes the obstacles more intense, or there are more obstacles for more characters and the stakes heighten for the entire story. And there were a handful of moments where that didn't happen, just because in this real life story, he almost never got what he wanted. There wasn't this big, giant focus on it in the way that maybe, a movie shot in LA in the 90s about it. It's not Heat, where they're fucking shooting up people in the streets and everybody's there. And so I guess I thought that it was going to, since nothing is going to really change that much for John Boyega's character, as he consistently realizes the same obstacle I've been dealing with the whole time is just being presented every time I talk to somebody new. It's the same obstacle. Nobody's really listening to me. I thought that maybe that would eventually kind of spread into the other people, Connie Britton, Michael K. Williams, the women in the bank. I thought his ex-wife. I thought there were opportunities for them to kind of spread his obstacle into them, and maybe it would become more about all of these people realizing this is terrible. But it didn't really go away from him as much as I thought it would.
I feel like it kind of did. Like when it came out that this whole thing was over like $800.93 or some ridiculous amount, like that they took off him, and like even with the tellers offered to give him the money, and he's like, I don't want the bank's money. I want them to pay. I want the people that took my money away to give me my money back. And I feel like they were like, there was a shared look between them at one point that I totally like read as, this is fucked. Like it's this guy's in this situation over $800 is fucked. And that's about when I started to get kind of furious. And I think that's what got me through the rest of this film, because I was like mad at this now. I'm like, if they put like, this guy has reached the point where he has nowhere to turn. He's fucking homeless. He's like, and it's over $800. Like no one should be in that, let alone a fucking veteran.
Yeah. This movie is also known as 892, which is basically the amount of money that he's owed, $892.
$892.
The original title,
like, yeah. But there was also when the negotiator came out that he like what it was over and how much money he wanted, and the guy, like the look on the guy,
Michael Williams,
yeah, the look that he gave was amazing. It just sold everything. It was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Why are we all here? Like, why has this happened?
But before
over
we talk
$800.
Before we talk about Michael Williams, because he really is a great little unifying connecting force to the outside world. Because I also like that they were careful about showing us too much.
Yeah.
For better or worse. But before we talk about Michael Williams, I just want to say that also the two ladies, the one I recognized Estelle in the movie, and I was like, where the fuck is she from? No, I hate to say that I'm going to say this, that she's memorable for being the wife, if you know what I mean. But she was Jackie Robinson's wife in 42.
That's what I remember her from.
She was in Black Mirror. She was Anthony Mackie's wife, or girlfriend or wife, and when he was like the gamer who probably has like gay inclinations. If you've ever seen that Black Mirror episode, and then in Shame, she's one of the ladies that Michael Fassbender is into, and she's in Miss Juneteenth, so she's out there.
And she held her own though.
She was great in this,
yeah.
And then but Selena's definitely the harder job. Selena's Levia, who played Rosie, no, not Rosie, Rosa in this. Rosa, and she was in Homecoming. She's in Spider-Man: Homecoming. She's in Orange is the New Black. Place Beyond the Pines.
So she's worked for Marvel, so she knows Terra.
Yeah. But she was the one who got struck with fear. And I think, John, to your point, I think they just relied on those two ladies. And really Rosa was giving it more, I guess. But, they played, I'm sure they worked it together to play that terror. But
I love that their characters, in performances, were so different too. You weren't watching carbon copies. This was, the scene work was done on this, in my opinion.
Yeah. And well, John, wouldn't you say too that that's tricky because you didn't want peas in a pod. It was just similarities. You wanted some difference between the two, especially given what happens later. And that can be tricky because, you have the one person who's struck with terror and you have the other person who's a little more acty and go-gettery. It's tricky, two side characters, Rosencrantz and Guildensterning your way through a heist little thriller. It could be a little tricky. But did they work for you, the two actresses?
I thought I really was really, really impressed with Selena's Leva.
Yeah,
I thought that is so hard to play. I don't want to use the word passive, but when you're talking about acting, everything is trying to find things to do as an actor, and
just thinking I'm going to die isn't.
But not only was she projecting, I fear for my life at any point in time in this, but she was also kind of relating to him a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it was a very complex performance.
I thought so too. She really took the prize for me out of the two of them. I thought that nothing felt performed. I didn't even think she was acting. It was one of those performances where I was like, wow, this woman is just. It's like that nurse that they actually had treat Tom Hanks and Captain Phillips at the end.
It's good.
It's like this. I had seen this woman before, of course, but she really nailed it for me. I thought Nicole Beharie as Estelle was she was in that role very much as like they're going to make her be more active. She's the higher up manager. I think, again, just like John Boyega, I could have used one or two less really intense close-up monologue things with her. Like, I kind of knew what she was about, and it kind of got to a point where I was like, I just feel like they're making her work so hard as an actor in a movie. And I kind of just started thinking about her work, which was just distracting. I don't know if the average person would think that, but like, we knew how afraid she was. I thought like they both were so good that from the get-go.
You got a buzz.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Do you
sure.
think
There were just a couple moments where I was like,
the rules.
I don't know if that was necessary, and
Do you think
that one monologue especially. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think they either rehearsed? I doubt they would have shot something they didn't use, because these kinds of movies are, you have to have everything in order, and you don't have any money. You can't just,
if you're shooting on digital, you can go like as long as you got the time.
Well, that's the thing. But let's assume that these actors weren't being paid a day rate and the crew and whatever. But do you think they played out the scene where she actually tried to put the money in the account, like Michael K. Williams was trying to stop? Because they did a couple of those things with Michael K. Williams where he tried to show what was going on behind the scenes and basically to prove, yes, there was the sniper. John Boyega was right. That's why they asked about the outfit. But also, he's like, they're going to take it into their own hands. We need to make sure. This is why she can't answer the phone. The wife can't. John Boyega's wife can't answer the phone. This is why. They did a tough job. It was to only do it a little bit, but not over explain. Like even like Apollo 13, I love Apollo 13, but sometimes they're like, this is where they go in the LEM module. You know what I mean? So it's like with this, to show that from the outside a little bit. I thought they did a pretty good job sketching. But do you think they shot that scene? Because you're right. How do we get more tension in the room other than the bomb? I wonder if they played that out.
You know what? I hope they did, and I'm disappointed if they didn't put it in the film. Just because I don't know. I do think they were. I was waiting for some moments like that. That like, look, even if it didn't happen, I don't know. You just gotta. It just kind of felt like it was. It kind of felt to me like what was said between the three of them in the initial entering the bank, probably 15 or 20 minutes. I didn't learn anything more after that about anybody, which was, it is what it is. Like, and that probably is how it went down. I'm sure those two women have like very detailed accounts of what happened. And no, it wasn't anything crazy in the bank. Yeah. We were scared. We talked to him a few times about his situation. He never really threatened to hurt us. I asked him if I could use the money. He said, no, I don't want that. And then before we knew it, he was gone. And that was it. I'm sitting as the filmmaker, I would be like, shit, what am I going to do?
Did they do that on purpose, though? Because nothing was happening. Like, it was taking so long for anyone to do anything about this guy with a bomb in a bank. It's they're just leaving these poor fuckers in limbo.
And they had so many people outside. Why do you need 100 people outside?
Yeah, that's one of the things I'd like to ask. Like, the sniper that, in the end...
Yeah, one person.
Like, what agency was he fucking from? Because it's never really clear. It almost played like he was just someone who turned up.
Do they contract these people? Do they contract them so that they can kind of deny some liability? I feel like they purposefully do that.
Maybe, yeah.
Purposefully, they contract out a lot of these agencies.
I don't know, because it wasn't kind of clear what agency, which agency he was associated with, but like even
that.
Yeah.
That's a good point about like nothing was happening.
Wait, the sniper did have to move once.
He did.
That's something.
The sniper had to move once.
And then there was the clip with the phone where he found out the guy was in the Marines.
That's kind of funny. I don't know where the SWAT car went, but that was kind of funny. Yeah. Oh,
when it started to reveal itself that nothing was happening, and like that was the point. I think they were trying to do that. I thought that there were. I was like, maybe there's going to be opportunities to really play up the fact that there's a lot happening outside. Like they're perfectly happy to rally the troops and do all these things if it means getting to kill somebody who they consider to be a criminal. But we're not. There's no rallying happening at the VA trying to get him his money. I thought they were going to maybe try to play that up, but it didn't really do that either. We didn't really get to know anybody very well except for Michael K. And I would even say we didn't really get to know him at all. I think his moments on screen were wonderful. He's a great actor, but they didn't really.
I don't need to know his backstory.
I don't think you need to know. I just feel like there's a. I don't know. I'm not saying you need to know. I think you could have known more, and it would have strengthened the relationship and the conflict that he clearly felt, but there didn't seem to be. I don't know. It just, the tension never left that space in the bank that was already established an hour before this movie ends.
I don't know. I'm wondering, did I have like a different visceral reaction because I'm not used to this sort of thing? Like this exposed a lot of government stuff for me. It was like the bureaucracy they have to go through, and it had I think it had the perfect desired effect on me. It was like this guy's in a situation he shouldn't have to be in, because of like government fucking bureaucracy, and it's over $800, and that can change his life to the point where he might lose it. And that started to build the rage a little bit. I started actually feeling like him. I'm like, where do you go? You got nowhere to turn. You're going to be out on the street. You've got a daughter who wants a puppy.
Yeah.
And it's like the worst thing in the world is having to tell that kid, no, I've got no money. When you've fought for your fucking country and that sort of thing. Like this got me because I'm not used to this.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I feel you, dude. I hear you. It's just all that was established in the first 10 minutes. So like that's a really,
and that
really
rage
powerful
carried me
starting
through.
place. I don't know.
I really like not knowing much about Michael K. Williams because knowing what happened later, you feel like he would have tried to follow up with them. Even if he was in jail, he would have visited him in jail. And the fact that this didn't go the way he wanted, like it felt like there was so much more that was left unsaid at the end. And maybe that's just me, filling in the blanks for my own sanity because I like the film and I want to prep it up.
I feel like the medal and the packet of cigarettes said it all, really. It was like...
Well, I feel like he was going to talk to him there, get to, and then that was going to start a new wave. And then, of course, the sniper. And I also love it. It's subtle, but we've seen so many of these, not this specific kind of movie with bank robberies necessarily being drawn out over an hour, but we've seen so many, let's say government agencies, whether that's local police, with FBI, with SWAT, with whoever the sniper was from, former military, wherever these people come from, they don't talk to each other.
Yeah, they're dicks to each other.
We have a negotiator on site, and they're actually planning the assassination. I'll use that word for this person without letting the negotiator know. I think those kinds of things were really interesting for me.
Yeah, and the pissing contest got ground my gears a lot.
I admit I'm filling in blanks, and obviously the political stuff goes without saying. I think I imagine most people are going to see this and say, they're going to know that we as a country have fucked up, and that's why he's in this situation. I don't think they need to lay that on any thicker, and to see that might be enough because the tension in the bank. That's not necessarily what people are going to be leaving the movie with. They're not going to be leaving the movie saying, "I wish it was tenser." They're going to leave just thinking, the VA does suck, and Google the VA, Google their funding, Google why we spend $800 billion a year on defense, but the VA. It looks like a fucking, butcher. You could grab your number and wait in line. Yeah. Anyway,
I think this. If there was like a Black Mirror that was just about, how Black Mirror is about like tech and sci-fi, and if there was, this kind of Black Mirror show, I think this could have been incredibly potent as an hour long, like a really dense hour-long thing. The ideas are established. You learn everything you need to know. And I think I don't know. I feel like the only things that really lost steam for me were just some of those moments that honestly weren't really necessary for us to get exactly what we've all been discussing, which is if those are the most powerful elements you're going to walk away with. I think we learned that soon enough, that if the catharsis of this ending is always going to be basically fucking execution, in spite of him being promised that this is not going to happen. I had a feeling he didn't actually have a bomb in his bag. He didn't. Like all those things that are going to really make you think about what was happening.
Even then, there's like little things like the FBI just getting up and walking out. It's like you have to call your local law enforcement. They won't tell her a thing. Right. Like his wife a thing.
Good.
I was
at the end.
It was like.
Well, back to the bomb, having the remote
twisted.
Was like enough for me, but yeah, the whole thing's twisted. Yeah, the FBI didn't say it's over. They were like, yeah see ya.
Yeah, I did like that the cinematography kind of mimicked his mood. Like when he got agitated because the first question his wife asked him was, "Are you taking your meds?"
Yeah,
and the more agitated he got, the more jerky and like flying cameras fucking flying everywhere the cinematography got. And then when they calmed down and got more intimate, they pushed back in. But for a while there were elements where they pushed out and like really wreaked havoc with the cinematography.
Yeah, he had a lot of those he had a lot of those moments, and the cinematography followed him. He had a lot of big blow up moments, and it's as the cinematographer Dave, everybody has to know what's coming. You can't just do that spontaneously on set, otherwise you're really gonna fuck the sound up.
Except
and,
again, that film we shot in the
frame.
basement of the bank where we got someone to scream, and I still get fucking goosebumps.
You knew that
we had to do 2
Casey's
takes.
gonna call out
We had to do 2 takes, dude. I fucking jumped with the camera the first one, so.
Was it me or Casey's? Because Casey,
Callie.
yeah. Oh, Callie's fucking Callie's. Yeah, all of us lost our goddamn voice. Casey had to call out of 2 shows. That's for I'm buzzing John for making us yell at night, on Sunday night in asbestos. Yell, get that asbestos on those cords. All right. Well, I think everybody at home gets where we're coming from, so we don't need to continue to bang out our points here. But
yeah.
I think on the whole, we can all agree that this is definitely an important movie to see, and I hope you all discuss it, regardless of what how you ultimately fell and whether or not you gave it a 6 out of 10 or whatever on IMDb.
As an Australian watching it, I would say feel free if you're a foreigner to the US to watch this and then call your local foreign representative.
Can foreign? I say this and I don't want to get flagged, but could somebody from overseas donate to our campaigns here? Come on, guys, give us these midterms, please. We need 2 more senators and we need to hold the House. All right?
They did. Didn't all the Russians donate?
Yeah, but they were based out of America and they used shell shit, and it's very strange. It's very convoluted.
Yeah, who knows what's actually going on?
Russia just had 2 fucking homes get fucking invaded over this whole document leak thing. But he was here, so I'm saying I don't think you could just give money from the Czech Republic to anyway.
That's cut off. All right, I'm going to take the spoiler alert off. Are we done? I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I would say I thoroughly enjoyed this.
I really enjoyed it too. John,
that's great.
You're on an island.
Yeah. I don't think I did, but I'm glad you guys did.
Absolutely, it's not going to speak to everyone, but I mean, a lot of people are going to go and see it and go, "Well, yeah, what do you expect?"
Might help that I saw this sitting next to Dave, so you could feel the tension.
Yeah.
Oh, I could feel it in my plums. The tension, you could feel it. Hey, another Eastbound
sorry,
and Downs.
Sorry about that, dude. I thought it was popcorn.
How many people were in your theater?
I didn't bring any food. 25?
I'm wondering if that may have had some effect on me, that I felt like I was kind of sitting in a vacuum. Like there wasn't anybody really reacting to it.
I mean, the woman in front of us was having a very visceral reaction to it. There was a lot of disgruntled sighs the whole way through it. She was not impressed with some of the outcomes.
I heard there was one woman behind me, one of the only other people in the audience. She was in the back right, and I heard when he was reading from his Bible, she was like, making noises. I was like, Jesus Christ. So that kind of bothered me.
Oh, that's, Jesus. Okay, you're in the wrong movie, dude. It's the one you're looking for is Honk for Jesus.
I'm gushing us all. Yeah, you needed a honk for Jesus.
I will say, the movie finished, and there's silence in the theater, and all of a sudden some guy goes, "Fuck me," and I realized it was me.
That's right. Yeah, you did say it. You said it pretty loud. Yeah.
I did think it was funny that many, many, many times this guy called back to the Lord of the Rings character names for this potential little puppy that his daughter wanted. They used that. They used that bit quite a bit. It was I guess he loved Lord of the Rings.
Timely too.
I guess
Thank
that really
you, Rings
happened.
of Fire.
Yeah, that was
Rings of Fire. Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
Oh, you know what that means, folks. That means that we have wrapped up our discussion of breaking, and it is time to segue into our final segment.
John's revenge is going to be so sweet.
Hey, if he wants to digitize 3-part tight harmony and then put some compression on it and mix it out, and then he is more than welcome to do that. Okay.
Also, next time leave a little bit of a gap at the end for the rest of the reverb.
It is time.
That's for me.
It is time for our final segment of the evening, which is What You've Been Watching, where we go around with some recommendations of the week, let you know, for those of you especially who have been watching in real time, what we've been up to, what we've been watching this year, Labor Day weekend 2022. We always start with Dave. Dave, what you been watching?
Well, on your recommendation, we hit Only Murders. We're one episode into season 2 now because we binged
It happens,
we binged the fuck out of it. It's hilarious and it's so New York.
Cool.
I did, of course, watch The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly stylized. I like what they're doing. We'll see how we go. I found the characters very amusing. I found them very likable. So, let's see how we go with that. And I got really drunk and put on the Star Trek director's cut.
Which
The
Star
four-
Trek?
the 4K remaster they just did with new visual effects. They've updated some of the effects and stuff.
Wait, which Star Trek?
The motion picture.
Oh, the first one.
Yes.
79,
Okay.
like OG.
And yeah, it's still funny to me, but yeah, there's there's some like there are some great updates of like stuff that used to be like sort of like a blurry background now has like detailed windows around the starships and stuff like that. There is a weird, I want to say, 2-minute overture at the beginning where it's just a starfield going backwards and an extra theme plays. I guess he really wanted it in there because then that fades out and then the Paramount logo comes up. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
I definitely remember talking about that in our franchise face-off, where I watched this movie and I was like, "What the fuck am I watching here?" And like, how much did they rip Star Wars off? I know the TV show came first, but oh my god!
Yeah.
it's the fuck you, Jeff button.
You know, I didn't record that in my spare time. Actually, I didn't put that one on the remote. John, what have you been watching?
I also watched the Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power.
Surprising.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's like if anybody is like expecting it to not be an updated version of Lord of the Rings shot the way that they would shoot things today with contemporary political things that are important today being projected into the story, you're not going to enjoy it. It is exactly that. But if you like the world enough and you're willing to just go on the ride, I was compelled.
There's one camera crane pan through the grass that I recognized. I was like, this is amazing. It's like a little homage.
Yeah, they definitely have the homages. Like
Yeah.
the battle scene when they show the battle at the beginning, it felt very similar. But yeah, I don't think it's totally an accident or completely holistic that two females are the leads of this show, considering that that's the world we're living in right now, and Lord of the Rings doesn't have a lot of strong female protagonists. Who doesn't love Galadriel? Give me that.
The one it does have is fucking awesome.
And also after Kate Blanchett, you got to give us somebody
like a fucking fish.
They swim like a fish. Nice.
The actor's good. Yeah, the actor's good. The female halfling, the Hobbit. You know, we'll see what happens. The music is cool. I think the guy's doing a good job.
The Harfoot.
Halffoot. Yeah. So well, yeah,
the
we'll see what
halfling is what they call the hobbits in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
So the Harfoot sort of.
Yeah, but it's I think if you want to go back into that world, you're going to enjoy yourself.
I enjoyed the ride.
It's not Tolkien, you know. So like, you just have to remind yourself that these are probably a bunch of writers who love Tolkien who are trying to write like Tolkien, and you just have to just go for it and just say it's not Lord of the Rings. It's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
I mean, I was sitting there hanging for the dwarves to get introduced, and they did not disappoint when they introduced the dwarves.
That was cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That was kind of the miss in the original trilogy, and they tried to make up for it in the Hobbit series. And
I'm not gonna lie. I think the only thing that I wasn't underwhelmed with, but I'm hoping they're going to introduce it more. And I think even laymen think about these things when you watch movies like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. There are very specific themes in the music that are very present, and everybody can hum them. Everybody knows those kinds of themes. And I like what Bear, the composer, is doing, but I wish he had a little bit. I wish there were more themes that were really obvious, that were like kind of helping us get bound to wherever we are. Because Jeff, I'm sure you're about to talk about it, but it did bounce around quite a bit, and I think it could have helped ground me a little bit more if it didn't sound kind of generically like the Howard Shore music with the texture, the opera chorus, the oratorio, the full symphony, and maybe gave me just a few themes to kind of ground me. I think they're probably going to do it, so I'll be patient. But I was having fun.
The big question I have
by the end of episode 2, that shadow, I'm ready to see who it is. I'm ready to keep going.
Yeah, the big question I have is is that Gandalf or Saruman?
I think it's Gandalf.
I think it's Gandalf too, but it could be either.
Yeah.
I think Saruman was first, and I remember in this, if I'm not wrong, in the Silmarillion, the way that the wizards are introduced to Earth, it could have been an interpretation that they literally fell to Earth. So I don't know if they totally pulled that out of their butt. I think that's kind of fun that they're going that route, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait. I also saw Snake Eyes.
Oh my god!
Hold on.
I fired that up the other day, and it was on my my watch list. Like I watched apparently a third of it. I don't remember watching this movie.
Dave, first of all, I want to tell a quick joke. I started the first GI because I was like, I don't think I've seen these movies. And I started watching the first one, and I realized I've definitely seen this before, and I don't remember any of it. So that just goes to say. But Snake Guys, my only really quick little gripe is they completely established his origin in the first two G.I. Joe movies, and then this is a movie about him. Like this is literally his origin movie, and it's not the same story at all. It's a completely different story. It's like they just completely abandoned it. They were like, fuck it, let's do whatever the fuck we want. That didn't happen. There aren't two movies dedicated to how he got here. No. So that was really weird. I wasn't anticipating that. Does everybody know that? Like, is the film
I don't know what they're doing there. Like, I feel like there's going to be a retcon of that at some point. The whole
weird.
thing.
Anyway.
All right, really quick. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, or House of Dragons? What do you guys prefer?
I haven't seen House of Dragons. I don't think I want to watch that show.
House of Dragons.
I fucking love Game of Thrones. My favorite show of ever, up for 6 seasons, and then the final 2 might have to make me rethink my list. But I like the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, man. That shit really.
Don't get me wrong, I loved it, but at the moment, House of Dragons has had more "fuck me" moments for me.
Yeah, but they're moving around so much. I'm starting to get nervous. I feel like I'm not. I don't know who any of these people are because as soon as I start to think I get close, they start jumping.
The thing is, as well, like George R. R. Martin actually wrote this, so we're looking at like character-based choices, not plot-based choices. So.
Yep, I am.
Like,
and
and
trying to
so
get
far,
us.
there's been some
I'm not
great
trying to get
moments.
the audience.
I haven't seen episode 3. I haven't
the
seen 3.
Greyjoys have a ship. They have a fleet. You can't fucking expect us to forget that. All right, don't be a fucking idiot, people. Don't be stupid. Don't treat us like we're stupid. They've been treating us better than they were. Okay. I really do like them both, but I'm really into Rings. It took me a second.
Jeff's talking faster because he has a hard 8 out where it's 7:58.
I literally have a fucking 60 seconds. I loved.
It's like me last week when I needed to pee.
They started out with pure plot and just action, and I was like, okay, I need to know who these people are. The Hobbit theme, and you meet Frodo. To your point, John, you're right. I love Bear McCreary. I like his music a lot. It does really sound like one person wrote this in a room by themselves. And whereas you listen to Lord of the Rings, the original soundtrack, it really feels like an orchestra with a choir. So I think maybe, I don't know, we'll see what happens with it. But I really, really love Rings of Power, and the $500 million they spent on it seems to be paying off. And I also, I watched the Elvis movie, which you guys talked ad nauseum, but I actually liked it. I liked it a decent amount.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you so much for joining us this week, film fans. See you next week where we're going to talk about
15 minutes
some
more.
movie. No, gotta go. Thank you so much, people. We're keeping it under an hour today. What?